Oi, gente! Hello, everyone! Welcome to this class. Bem-vindos a esta aula. Meu nome é Virgínia, eu sou sua professora brasileira. I'm Virginia, your Brazilian Portuguese teacher. Today, we are going to talk about pronunciation. I prepared a very special class for you. But first, I want to hear from you. Let me know in the chat qual é o seu nome, what is your name, and where are you from? De onde você é? Let me know in the comments. Let me take a look at the comments here. So whenever I'm looking to this side, I'm actually looking at the comments. There's always a little bit of delay, so sometimes I say something and it takes a few seconds for you to hear what I'm saying. Olá, Maurício de Roma, tudo bom? Olá, Jorge do Canadá, bem-vindo. Sam. Oi, Andrew, tudo bom? Olá, Bradley, Germantown, que legal. Gregório, tudo bom? De São Domingo. Quanta gente. Joren, da Holanda. Joren. Ai, não sei pronunciar os nomes de vocês. Olá, Lila, de São José. Patrick, da Suíça. Oi, Fábio, Tim. Olá, Galip, Reina, que legal, quanta gente, bem-vindos, welcome. So let me talk about today's topic. We will be here for about 90 minutes, 1 hour and 30 minutes. And my intention today is to really help you with details about on your pronunciation, Brazilian Portuguese pronunciation. And we are going to focus on those very specific sounds that are challenging for English speakers and Spanish speakers. I've been teaching Portuguese for a long time, over 10 years, 12, I lost count. And I've noticed that some specific sounds are really challenging for this group of people. So I prepared this lesson thinking about that. And I also, if we have time, I'll also talk a little bit about how to improve your flow, so you have like a more Brazilian accent, and so you can speak with more flow and fluency by linking words and reducing some words. And I'll also be always looking at the chat and answering any follow-up questions that you have. So if you have like that specific word that is hard to pronounce or a specific sound, today is the day to ask me a question, and I'll do my best to help you throughout this class. At the end of the class, I'll also talk a little bit about the courses that we offer at Speaking Brazilian School. So if you're looking for a course, a structured course, and you would like to have regular classes with a Brazilian teacher, we have courses open for enrollment right now, and classes start in February. So I'll also talk a little bit about that today. Okay, estão prontos? Are you guys ready to get started? Olá, quanta gente! So whenever I say that I'm looking at the chat, you can then type your question. It's really hard for me to read everything and answer all the questions, but I'll do my best to read as much as possible and answer as many questions as possible. So sharing my document with you. So we have some announcements here. As I just said, we have new classes starting in February. When I say premium classes, I'm referring to the classes that include live sessions, that include group classes with a Brazilian teacher, and regular Q&A with me every Saturday. And these classes, they are via Zoom. They're very interactive, very small, just like 4 to 8 students per class. So you have a lot of opportunity to speak and practice with a Brazilian teacher and other classmates. So if you're looking for something like that, visit our website, speakingbrazilian.com. I'm going to show you our website in a minute. We offer courses for all levels. If you're not sure what course is best for you, there is a very quick placement test that you can take, and the placement test will recommend a course. But if you sign up and you realize, oh, this course is not for me, it's too difficult, it's too easy, you can request to switch to another course within 30 days, or you can also ask for a full refund if you just change your mind. We have a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. You can change your mind. There's no risk. I think these are the announcements. I'm going to show you briefly our website. So if you want to learn more about our courses, visit speakingbrazilian.com /premium. You can just go to speakingbrazilian.com and see all the courses we offer. We also have lots of free resources if you're not looking for a specific course right now. You just want to, learn a little bit just for fun. Take a look at our free resources. But if you're looking for a structured course, this is the page that you should look for, speakingbrazilian.com/premium. And here you find all the information about our courses. So the next cohort starts in February and goes through April 26. Enrollment closes January 25. I need to close enrollment so I have time to organize the students. And you see all the information here. Who is this course for? What are different, how everything that we offer. Our communicative approach, which means that you will be speaking Portuguese in class from day one. We really focus on communicative approach and speaking practice. We offer feedback on all your homework. We offer recordings of our classes, so you can, if you miss a class, you can watch a recording. So you find all the information here. You also find many reviews from other students, so you don't have to just believe in what I say. You can see what other students say about our courses. And these are the courses that we offer. If you're starting now, I recommend you follow this path. You start with the essential course for beginners, which is for beginner level students, or for those who have studied a little bit using Duolingo or study by yourself. You really need structure, so I recommend you start from the beginning. And then the second course is the pre-intermediate workshop for those who have studied at least for like 3 to 6 months and you know all the basics, but you need to practice and review all the beginning, all the essential content. And then we have the grammar and conversation workshop. This one is really more focused on grammar at an intermediate level and some advanced level content as well. And after you complete these 3 courses, which will give you really everything that you need to know to speak Portuguese, all the grammar, all the the most essential vocabulary for everyday situations, but you just need a place to practice conversation, then the course for you will be the Speaking Brazilian Academy. So this course is a membership program designed for students who are already at an intermediate level and just need a place to practice conversation to develop fluency. So if this looks like something you're looking for, take a look at Speaking Brazilian Academy. I won't talk more about the courses now because I really want to get started with our class. But at the end of this class, I'll save some minutes to answer any questions you have about our courses, okay? Let me go back to the comments here to see. Bom dia do Brasil. Ah, você vai ao Brasil em 2 semanas. Que legal, Laura. Boa viagem. Aproveite muito. How is my name pronounced in Brazil? Edson. I don't know. If it is written this way, we would say Edson. Edson. So I'm looking for more questions like this. How to pronounce this word? I'll go back to the comment sections many times today to answer any questions that you have, okay? And I see that Rob is my husband. He's right behind the camera. He just added the link to our website on the chat, okay? So you can just look for the link there. And I think it's also below the video, okay, in the description section. Okay, let's get started. Are you ready to practice some pronunciation today? This is a pronunciation lesson, so it's really, really important that you repeat out loud many words. Every word that I say in Portuguese, I recommend you repeat out loud. And I also give you some tips and exercises to practice throughout this class. Okay? Vamos lá. Vamos começar. Let's get started. So let's start with difficult sounds for English speakers. I think this is most of my students, they are English speakers. And I know you thought about this, the nasal sounds. This is the most challenging category of sounds that English speakers struggle with. When you talk about nasal sounds, we are referring to nasal vowels, because you have no issues pronouncing the consonants. The consonants are easy to pronounce, the N and the M, but the vowels, the nasal vowels, they are tricky. And we have 5 nasal vowels in Portuguese. You see all these vowels here, A, E, I, O, U. You can pronounce them in an oral way, like through your mouth only. They are called oral sounds, A, I, O, U, right? This is not difficult, you got that. But then all these vowels, they have a nasal pronunciation, and they are considered true nasal vowels, which is different from English and I don't know other languages, but they don't require a nasal consonant to be nasal. Like in English, we do have nasal sounds, right? But only if there is a nasal consonant like M or N or the NG sound, right? But in Portuguese, we don't need the consonant to have nasal vowels. They are true nasal vowels and they stand by themselves. So I'll pronounce these vowels and I ask you to repeat after me. I know it's challenging, but try to produce these sounds with me. So all these vowels, they have a nasal sound. So this one is e, I, o, So 5 nasal vowels. E, I, O, There is no consonant sound, no M or no and no N. But for English speakers, there is a trick that I learned actually from my students that if you just add like a very subtle N or at the end, right? The same sound that we have in the word sing, right? Singing, like sing, that sound at the end. You could use that. That's not exactly what we do in Portuguese. In Portuguese, we don't need the consonant to create the sounds. They are very natural to us, native speakers. But since you're learning, and I know it's challenging for you, what you can do is add this very subtle N sound at the end of the vowels to help you produce the nasal sound. That's okay. But remember, that is no N sound, right? It's very subtle. It's just and then you stop. Do not complete the N or the M sound, right? It's E, I, O, right? So let's see words now, because just the sounds is confusing to understand. Let's see words, useful words that you can use using these sounds. And we are starting with the most difficult sound that my students complain a lot about, the nasal diphthong, This is tricky, right? Because we have the sound and then another vowel after it. For some reason, this is really challenging to pronounce. So let's practice. Let's first break it down. We have the nasal and then the O sound at the end. The second vowel here, the O, can be pronounced as O or as a weak U. That happens at the end of words. The O in Portuguese, the O becomes a weak U sound at the end of words when they are unstressed. So here I would say So it's important to remember that we have 2 vowel sounds, and then a second one, U. The second one is very weak. This is called it's a diphthong, so 1 strong vowel and 1 weak vowel. It goes like down, the sound. And let's now adding the consonant. Pão. Repeat after me, it's important to practice. Pão. U. Pão. Same sound in the next word, mão. So pão means bread, mão means hand, mão. Mão. And the next one, não, means no, não. So to help you think, comparing like Portuguese with English, you could pretend it's pronounced like something like that. Mão, não. Right? You could pretend there is the N at the end. It's okay to make the last vowel nasal as well. There is no problem. Just remember that the an is very nasal. Now let's talk about the next group, which is manhã. This is particularly challenging as well because it's just the sound. So again, you can try to produce like a very subtle N at the end if that helps. So repeat after me to practice. Just let me drink a little bit of water. My voice is a little bit hoarse today. So repeat after me. Huh. Huh means frog. Huh. 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 La means wool. Lã. 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 And the next word, manhã, means morning. Manhã. 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 Let me go to the comment section now. How you guys are doing? Any word related to that you find difficult to pronounce? Is this challenging for you? Let me know. Great question, Laura. Yes. So this little thing that looks like a snake on top of the it indicates the I is a nasal, right? So this little graphic sound, accent only happens in two vowels, A and O. You will not find this graphic accent in other vowels. So the other vowels are usually nasal when they are followed by the letters M or N, and the letters I and O, they don't have to be followed by any nasal consonant. They can be nasal just with that little thing, the tilde on top of them. It does mean it is nasal, and most of the time it also makes the vowel stressed, unless there is another graphic accent in the same word. The tilde also makes that vowel stressed, which means that is the strongest sound in that word. You know, I think that for French speakers, this is much easier because you do have lots of nasals in French. Actually, you have more nasal sounds in French than we have in Portuguese. I think, like the difference between vin and vent, we don't have that in Portuguese. So just follow your instinct. Try to imitate me. I think you get it right. I don't think this is an issue for French speakers. I've had many French speaker students, and they never had any issues with the nasal sounds. So usually this is an issue for English speakers because you do have many nasal sounds in French, right? Roma. Roma. Is it grapefruit? I think it is. Roma. Roma. Muito bom, Cícero. Great questions here.
Grapefruit? No. Roma grenadine?
So Rob is talking to me, but I got a little bit. Okay, answering Shikara. What is your name, Shikara? Please tell me your names when you write a comment because I really would like to address you by your name. So does it mean that manhã has two nasal A sounds? Yes, very good comment. So we have the first I is man and the second one is right? Manhã, manhã, manhã. So I translated Romain as grapefruit. Okay, Cicero, thank you. Pomegranate. Yes, Romain is pomegranate. Thank you. That's what Robert's trying to tell me. Let me see. Com circunflexo. We'll talk a little bit about that, Alejandro. We do have some nasal sounds with the circumflexo, but only if there is a nasal consonant right after it, right? So if you see the letter A with the circumflex on top of it and an M or N right next to it, then it means it's nasal. Usually the circumflex indicates the sound is closed. So it's commonly used with the vowels O and E to indicate it's a closed sound. We'll talk a little bit about that when we are in the next section of this lesson. These are good ones. So repeat after me. So alemão, alemães means like German in singular and plural form. So alemão, alemão, alemães, alemães. So here, the first one is the second one is ein, like in mãe, and then you just add the S at the end, alemães, alemães. Maçã, maçã. You know, Raina, this is just practice. It's normal to slow down at the beginning and maybe exaggerate a little bit. That's totally okay. When you're learning a language, you really need to take your time to speak all the difficult sounds, right? But with practice, it just gets easier and you'll be able to speak with a more like normal pace without breaking your pronunciation. But I like that you make that comment because it's really important. I highly recommend that you speak at a slow pace at the beginning and it will feel natural as you become a more advanced learner. Okay, so at the beginning, just take your time, speak slowly, and because then there's a better chance that you have a clear pronunciation. If you try to speak too fast, it's more difficult to have a good pronunciation if you speak too fast. So I recommend you speak slowly, take your time, and with practice, it will become easier to speak a little bit faster. Oh, that's a good one. Homem. Homem. I will talk about the M at the end of words in a minute. And here we have a very good example. Homem means man, right? But you see there's the M at the end here. But I don't pronounce this M sound. I say homem, homem. So I have a nasal diphthong, and at the end, there is no M or N sound, but it's closer to N, right? It's not a M, ein. So if you want, you can add like a very quick N at the end, homem. These are good ones because they're very similar. The only difference between these two words is the nasal sound, right? The nasal vowel. So the first one, maçã, maçã, the stress goes all the way to the end. We do have a graphic accent on top of the last vowel, the tilde. Maçã is the fruit, apple. And the second word, massa, the stress is in the first syllable. Massa, massa. There's no nasal sound. It means a dough, right? Or pasta. Mão means mother. Mãe means mother. Mãe means mother. But minha is the word for mine. I'm not really sure if that's your question. Good ones, Margus. Irmã, irmão. So, sister, brother. Irmã, irmã, irmão. Irmão. Okay, everybody. Excellent questions and words. I'll go back to the document because I have more to cover, and then I'll go back to the comment section. So, to see if you have any other questions or words for me to pronounce, okay? Vamos lá, vamos continuar. One thing that I would like to point out is that many times the letters AM and AO2, they are pronounced the same way. I know it's crazy, right? Why would they be pronounced the same way? But they are many times. The difference most of the time is the stress. Usually words that end with AM, this syllable is unstressed, which means it's a weak syllable. And words that end with on, with the tilde on top, usually that syllable is stressed. Most of the time, there are a few exceptions. So let's look at verbs that carry these two endings, AM or AO2. So let's see here the verb estudar, which means to study. And I have this word, estudaram, estudaram, and this word estudarão, estudarão. So, the pronunciation is exactly the same, however, the stress changes. I'm really emphatic about this because I hear all the time students pronouncing this first word as the second word, and then it's confusing because it changes the verb tense. Okay, so here, also remember that we don't pronounce the M at the end of words. So this first word, pay attention to the stress is in the syllable, in the middle syllable, the second to last. Estudaram, 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 at the end, estudaram. There's no m, it's not estudaram, it's estudaram, estudaram, eles estudaram. So this is past tense. Eles estudaram português ontem. They studied Portuguese yesterday. Eles estudaram português ontem. Estudaram, estudaram, estudaram. And the second word, future tense, we bring the stress of the word to the end. And the sound is also on, but now it's stressed. Estudarão, 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 Eles estudarão português amanhã. They will study Portuguese tomorrow. Eles estudarão português amanhã. Eles estudarão português amanhã. Okay, I hope you're repeating after me to practice. So remember this. This is really important because if you change, the pronunciation is the same, but the stress is different, and that makes all the difference because it changes the meaning of the word, right? So let's talk about this. This is still related to nasal sounds, but now I want you to pay attention to the words that end with the letter M, because this is something also that English speakers struggle a lot with. You tend to add the M sound at the end. Here, it would not be a big problem for communication, because if you just add the M sound at the end, people will still understand what you say, so it's not a big deal. But of course you want to sound better, right? You want to have a good pronunciation. That's why I'm covering this topic as well. Because it's not too difficult. Just remember that at the end of words, we don't pronounce a clear M sound. So the M sound only happens when the M is followed by a vowel. If there is no vowel, if the M is at the end of a syllable or at the end of a word, followed by a consonant, the M does not sound like an M. It just nasalizes the vowel that comes before it. You can, if you want, pronounce like a very subtle M, N, as I said before, but also there's no clear N sound, okay? It's just a nasal vowel. So let's see 3 words that are very, very common. Sim. Sim means yes. There's no M sound, right? Sim. Sim, sim. You can pronounce more or less like the verb sing in English, but you see that in English you have sing. There is like this at the end here. There's a very it's a special consonant that is very common in English that we don't really have in Portuguese. Sing, the sound, but it's okay if you pronounce this way because it's closer. So sing, sing. Sim, sim, no M sound. And then we have the word bom, bom. If you want, you can pronounce it with the same ending, like the sound, to help you produce this nasal sound, right? Bom. We have 2 common pronunciations for this word in Portuguese. It can be just a single vowel, on, bom. Here's French, right? Bon. C'est bon, bon. É a mesma pronúncia. It's the same pronunciation here as in French. Bon. But we have a second pronunciation here. And we add a second vowel. Bom, 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 on. This is another variation of pronunciation of this word. And then we have the word bem. Here, I think we only have one pronunciation. And we also make like a diphthong here. Em, Em, there's no m sound at the end. Em, bem, bem, bem. Okay, so remember, don't pronounce the M at the end of words. Just make the vowel nasal, no M sound, okay? Any questions about nasal sounds? And then we move on to the next ones. Actually, let me see the time. I'll finish this other one before I go to the comment section, so we have so to see what questions you have for me. So this is really quick, really quick, but also something that I hear all the time, not only English speakers but also Spanish speakers and speakers of other languages, because this is something very Brazilian. I think we don't pronounce the L sound at the end of syllables, and if you do, you just sound off, you sound foreign, right? So if you want to sound like if you're speaking Brazilian Portuguese, remember to not to pronounce the L at the end of words or syllables. So you know it is at the end of a syllable if the letter that comes after it is a consonant. So the same way, just like the letter M, the L is only pronounced as a L if it is followed by a vowel. Then we have a regular L sound, like lua. Lua means moon. I have a regular L sound, right? Lua. But then if I have the L at the end of a word, like hotel, u, the L is pronounced as a weak U sound. Hotel. So the letters EL is actually, we have actually two vowel sounds. So the L is pronounced as a vowel, a weak vowel. Hotel. There's no L sound. Pretend there's no L in this word, okay? And the next one, you see the L in the middle of the word, but you see it's at the end of a syllable because the next letter is actually a consonant. So there's no way for us to pronounce the L here. It's alto, alto, alto means tall, alto. So let's read this sentence together, pronounce it with me, repeat after me to practice. Aquele hotel é muito alto. Aquele hotel é muito alto. I wanted to exaggerate a little bit here just to practice, but of course, as you get more used to this, you don't have to exaggerate that much. So here we also have aquele. Here you see the L is normal because there's a vowel after it. Then you can pronounce the L sound, aquele. But here, hotel, alto. There's no vowel after it, so you don't pronounce the L sound. Okay, let me go to the comment section. Questions for me, everybody, related to this topic? Excellent question, Val. They are pronounced the same way. Alto with the L and alto with the U, same pronunciation. You know which word you're using by the context, right? So if you're saying, oh, that person is tall, aquela pessoa é alta, I know I'm talking about the adjective. But then autoconhecimento, like self-knowledge, I know I'm talking about something referring to yourself, because auto means also something that is related to yourself, and also can be related to automobile, to cars or transportation, right? It really depends on the context, but the pronunciation is the same. This is really important. Brazil. Don't pronounce the L at the end of Brazil. Don't do that. It's Brasil. We do write, and actually we write without the Z, we write with the S and the L at the end, and the pronunciation is Brasil. I think we pronounce croissant. It's not perfect French, but it's not too far from it. Croissant. Oh, I get your comment, Gabriela. The is similar to the in is mine, mine. Interesting. It's not the same sound, but I understand what you mean. I've been kind of using that to help me. Yeah. That's an interesting tip, actually, for those who are learning Portuguese and are English speakers. The ein in mine, it's the a sound, mine. So it's much more open than the So it's ein. At least the way that I pronounce mine, I say mine, and the word mãe is mãe. It's a closer sound. But I think you're going in the right direction. It's just practice. It's just a little bit less open. It's a more like closed sound. Very good comment. I love to hear how you compare Brazilian words with English words and how you make all the connections. And it helps me understand better your thinking process and learning process. We are going to talk about avô and avó in a minute. See, oi, Desi. Yeah, alto e alto are the same. For me, sem sounds similar to the beginning of senha. Yeah, it's the same. Sem, senha. Yeah, same sound. Interesting comment. Yes. And the E in N. You're talking about the English word N? N. Yeah, the vowels in English, they are nasalized by the consonant, right? But in English, you have the vowel and the consonant, they are clearly pronounced N. And in English, in Portuguese, we have true nasal vowels that don't require the consonant to be pronounced, don't require any consonant out after it. So it's poderia, poderia, poderia. Oh yeah, no H sound as well. Good comment. It's the H in Portuguese is usually silent, unless it is like a new word that we just borrowed from English, and then sometimes we just say the H. But in Portuguese language, the H is usually silent. Let me see if I understand your question. Drew. Hi, Drew. Thank you for telling me your name. I really like to say your names. What happens with the nasal sound when you add consonants after the nasal, like irmãos? You mean the S sound, irmãos? You just add the consonant. It does not change the nasal sound. It continues to be the same. So, irmão in the singular, irmãos. You just add the sa. Is that your question? Irmão, irmãos. It doesn't change the nasal sound. It keeps the same. You just add more sounds. Milton. Interesting. Milton. And some people, yeah, that's an interesting comment, Tim, because some people would say Milton, Milton, with the on at the end. But there is a variation of accent in Brazil that people just drop the N, the nasal sound, and just say Milton, Milton. I've heard that as well. It's an interesting accent. So, yeah, always explain to me what you mean, because I don't know what you're talking about here, Julia. When you ask a question, if you give me a word as an example, it's easier for me to answer your question. Otherwise, I'm not really sure what you're talking about. Why does at the end of a word often sound closer to rather than the clear So here, I think you were probably thinking in your language, right? Because for us Brazilian, the AM sound and the AU tilde sound are the same. There is no really why, it's just how the language evolved. So all the examples that I gave you, like and the verbs, all verbs that end with the am, right, the conjugated verbs for the third person, they sound as we never pronounce the m at the end of words in Portuguese. So the m is either used just to nasalize the vowel, or it creates like a diphthong, which is this case. So the am is pronounced as om. Excellent questions. In Portuguese it's ano, 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 ano. The first I is nasal, and the last letter O can be anu, can be U or O, ano. Olá, da Suécia. So yeah, Laura, we have some, we call this digraphs. So we have 3 examples of combinations with the letter H, that we have 2 letters in one single sound. The NH sounds like nha, like manhã. The LH sounds like lha, like in julho, the month, July, julho. And the LH, the NH, what is the other one? Oh, the CH. The CH sounds like sh, like in chá, which means tea. So in this case, the H itself is not pronounced, but they are combined. It is combined with this other letter, and they create this new sound, and we call this digraphs. I want to use this as an opportunity to remind you that I offer a course, a free course in pronunciation. You can sign up on our website, speakingbrazilian.com, that covers all these basic sounds. They are different from other languages, and I cover this topic, Laura. So I recommend you go to the website and sign up. It's free. It's called Free Pronunciation Course, free meaning course in pronunciation, and I talk about these 3 digraphs, the CH, the NH, and the LH, and many other topics as well. I'm really happy to be here with you today. Obrigada, José. So I'll go back to my document, and then I'll go back again to the chat, okay? Because I want to, I will hope to cover as much as possible. Vamos lá, vamos voltar para o documento. So another very important topic that is hard for most students, but especially for English speakers, because the stress that we have in our languages is different. So in Portuguese, most words are stressed in the second to last syllable. They're called penultimate words. That's because they come from Latin, and the most common Latin stress rule is the penult, like the second to last syllable is stressed. So most words, think of words that you know in Portuguese. There's a big chance they have this stress in the second to last syllable. But if they carry a graphic accent, that changes, right? So the graphic accents, they usually indicate stress. So if you find a graphic accent in the word, you know that word is stressed, and that specific vowel is the stressed sound in the word. When I talk about stress, I'm talking about the strongest pronunciation within a word, right? And then we have these words that end with these specific letters here that I wrote for you. You don't have to memorize this, but if you want to write down just so you remember the rules. So words that end with R, L, Z, X, I, O, U, I am, U, M, and O, M, they are stressed at the end unless there is a graphic accent somewhere else. Of course, you don't have to memorize this. You'll learn this with practice, but I'll give you some examples. So just pronounce with me just to practice, okay? So these follow the most common rule. The second to last is stressed. Casa, casa. First stressed, second syllable is unstressed, it's weaker. casa. Mesa, mesa. Cadeira, cadeira. And then here we have a graphic accent. So what happens? The stress goes to that syllable, right? Café, café, café. Here again we have a graphic accent. So we know the stress is actually in the letter O at the beginning. So ótimo. If we do not have this accent, it would be ótimo. I don't think this word exists. So ótimo. Ótimo means great, right? And then one thing that I want to point out is pronunciation of verbs when we conjugate verbs. This is really tricky for students, challenging for most students. So one tip that I have for you is that if you see words that end with two vowels, like A, O, the stress goes all the way to the end, and the stress vowel is the second to last. So estudei, A, estudou, O, right? And he is in the middle again because there is nothing that in this word that shows it should be stressed anywhere else. So estudamos, estudaram. Let me see another group here. Comi, comi, you see it ends with I, which indicates the stress should go to the end. Comi. Here, comeu, two vowels, so the second to last vowel is the stressed one. Comeu, comeu. And comemos, comeram in the middle, which is the most common stress. I know it's too much information, a lot to learn. I just wanted to understand the rules, right? But this is something that I recommend you'll learn just with practice. Just listen, pay attention to how Brazilians speak, imitate. I just like to share the rules with you so you know what is happening. There is a rule behind all this craziness, but you don't have to memorize all these rules because I think it's overwhelming to memorize all this. I think you'll learn this with just practice. That's how I learn stress when I'm learning a language. I don't like memorizing stress rules because they just make me stressed. So I just pay attention and repeat and imitate, and then it becomes natural, you know. There is a point in your learning journey that the second languages just feel more natural, but that requires a lot of exposure. You need to listen a lot, you need to practice a lot, and then one day you feel like, oh, that feels more natural now. So don't get stressed about all this, okay? I'll go to the comment sections and then we'll talk a little bit about sounds that are difficult for Spanish speakers. Follow-up questions for me. I'm gonna go to the end now. Drink some water. So question from Memo. Most of the time, yes. So in theory, the H is silent in Portuguese. There are some exceptions of new words that we just borrowed from another language that could have this H pronounced. I cannot recall any word now, but I know there are some. But the rule is that the H is silent in Portuguese. Que legal, Mike! Parabéns! Oh, we'll talk about this in a minute. When listening, so you know, if you understand the meaning of the word, I wouldn't worry about recognizing if it is open or closed because it really doesn't make any difference in your learning experience. When you're speaking, it's more important to pay attention to that details, right? Because you want to have a good pronunciation so people understand you. This is tricky. It really depends on your native language but in English we do have these differences. So if you speak English, you should be able to recognize. You just have to compare with English words so you can produce the correct sound. But yeah, I don't really have a tip to tell you to recognize when you're listening. It's just really listening practice, you know, and exposure. But don't worry about that. If you understand the meaning of the word, you don't have to identify that detail. Is the word kinds similar to the English word kind? Oh, interesting. Similar to the comment from Gabrielle, I think. To me, it sounds very different because cães is ein, e kind is ein. So ein, ein. You see the difference? So cães, kind. Cães, kind. I understand the similarity. I think it is also a diphthong, right? Two vowels, the A and the E vowel. But in Portuguese, the sound is more closed and it's the not the A sound. It's more nasal. So cães, kind. But I think there is a similarity because it is also a diphthong, right? Can you describe where Rio? They done in São Paulo. So whenever you guys, hi David, when you ask me why, it is really difficult to answer this why question. Sometimes there is a rule and then I can tell you the rule, but most of the time there is no why, there is only how. I can tell you how people speak, I cannot tell you why people speak, because then you have to study history. And I think this is based on influences from other languages and immigrants, right? So in Rio de Janeiro, we had the Portuguese court that lived in Rio for many years. So maybe that's why in Rio they have this sh sound, which is also common in Portugal. I'm assuming that's the reason. That also happens in other states that had a lot of Portuguese immigrants. So that's my guess, David. Trabalho, trabalhar, trabalharei, trabalhei. So it's interesting because the stress in trabalharei e trabalhei is also both at the end, right? But one is in the past tense and the other one is in the future. Trabalho is in the middle of the stress, trabalho, e trabalhar is at the end because it ends with an R. Let me see if I missed a question here. I'm sorry if I skipped your question. Everybody can just like copy and paste if you want, because it's really hard for me to see all the questions. Hurry up. I think it depends on the context. Kevin, I would say, vamos lá, which is let's go. I think it's more common than apressa, because the hurry is pressa. You could see, I'm in a hurry, estou com pressa. But if I want to hurry up someone, like, come on, we're late, I would say, vamos lá, vamos lá. I think it sounds more natural to me. Partiu, in my accent. Partiu, partiu, which means to, partir can mean to break, to part, or it can mean to leave, depending on the context. Partiu, partiu. I say the R, you can pronounce here, par, or par, but it's sometimes very subtle, so sometimes you don't hear the R sound. Do and yes, For example, in the word antes, which means before, right? Antes, antes. It's the same sound we have for the frog, right? Antes. The same sound for manhã. So yeah, so the an has the same sound as the Okay, everybody. Yes, Dennis, that's what I guessed. Okay, everybody, I'll go back to my document and then I'll go back to the comments in a few minutes. Okay, I love your questions and comments. Thank you so much for participating and helping me with this lesson. Let's talk a little bit about sounds that are different for Spanish speakers. Of course, Spanish speakers, they usually understand Portuguese much more easily because they're similar languages, right? But the pronunciation is really tricky for Spanish speakers because the way that you produce sounds in Portuguese, the way that we pronounce words is very different from Spanish. So it's important to pay attention to these details. So one thing that is very hard for Spanish speakers is the Z sound because Of course, although also depends on where you are from, because Spanish is spoken in so many different countries, so many different accents. But most of my students, they have a hard time with the Z sound because I think many Spanish speakers don't have that sound in their language and their country. So remember that the Z is pronounced in a strong way and the S in a soft way, meaning that the Z carries a vibration of the chords and the S does not. So the S is unvoiced and the Z is voiced. So, and one interesting thing is that the S in Portuguese, when it's between two vowels, is pronounced as a Z sound, as a Z, right? So if you find the S at the beginning, before a vowel, it's pronounced as a sa, right? At the beginning of a word, at the end of a word. But if you find the S between two vowels, it becomes Z. So repeat after me. Casa. Casa. It's not casa. Casa. Zebra, like in zebra, right? Zebra. So here it's just practice. I know it's challenging if you don't have the Z sound in a language, you just have to practice a lot. But the difference is that you know you're pronouncing right if you feel a lot of vibration in your vocal cords. So let's do one exercise together. Place your hand here in front of in your throat, on your throat. And then you notice the vibration. And just say S. I don't feel any vibration when I do this sound. S. Now do the Z. Z. Wow, everything vibrates. It's a very vibrant sound, very voiced. So this is the difference between S and Z, right? So we have, for example, the word caça with the C cedilha, which means to hunt. This is caça. And then we have the word casa, Z. And in Portuguese, in Brazil, the Z sound is really strong. Casa, casa, zebra. So I recommend you practice that. So repeat after me this sentence. Let's practice together. A casa da zebra fica no zoológico. A casa da zebra fica no zoológico. If you pronounce Z as an S, it's not a big deal. Most of the time we can understand the meaning. It's just like we just noticed that it's not how Brazilians would pronounce it. Another very important detail, this is also, I separated Portuguese, English and Spanish, but actually there's a lot of overlap, right? So here's also like good for English speakers. The pronunciation of G and J in Portuguese, it sounds like J. So the G before the letters E and E, it's pronounced as J. Before the letters A, O, and U, it's pronounced as G, right? Just like in English, G, G. Gato, gosto, right? Let me write here. So, gato, gosto, Gustavo. So here regular G sound. But then before the letters E and E, gente, like my name. So you guys have any idea how to pronounce my name in Portuguese? It's not Virginia. Wanna try it before I say it? It's Virginia. J, because the G in Portuguese is pronounced as a continuous sound. Z. If you can pronounce for a long time, you're doing it right. Z. Virginia. Gente. Gente means people or guys. Hi guys, hello everyone. Oi gente. J. It's not gente. Okay, be careful with this J sound. It's J. Gente. So the letters G and J in Portuguese sounds like J, right? The G before these two vowels, A and E, and the J before all vowels. Another example with J here is jogo. So repeat after me to practice all this, the sentence. A gente gosta de jogar jogos. A gente gosta de jogar jogos. And remember that the J, right, the J, does not sound like a J, does not sound like H. It sounds also like J. Jogar jogos. Okay, let's move on to the next one. I'm trying to hurry a little bit so I cover more content, and then I'll go back to the chat so I can see your questions. So I saw many of you in the chat requesting to talk about this topic. Of course, I added this topic because I know it's really important, especially for Spanish speakers, because you don't, most variations of Spanish do not have this distinction between O and O. It's so hard to understand when you don't have that in your language. I completely understand you. There are some vowels in English that don't exist in Portuguese, and I struggle a lot with that. I'm not going even to explain to you which vowels because I cannot produce them well, I cannot pronounce them well. Like there's the two S sounds, what is that? But so I understand you, and it's really hard even to hear the difference when you don't have that specific sound in your native language. But you can practice, right? And you can train your ear. I just wanted to tell that not to feel too stressed about it because most of the time we can understand what you mean by the context. So if you don't make the perfect sound, it's okay. Just do your best, practice as much as you can, and then just relax because people will understand what you mean by the context. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. But what is the difference between O and O? So we have the open O sound. When you say it's open, because you actually have to open your mouth a little bit more. O, O, O. In English, we have this sound in many words, but I like to compare with the word O because it's just a single word. O, and it's the same sound. O, O. And then we have the closed O, which is we have to close your mouth a little bit more. And it's very similar to the O sound in the word old in English. One thing to help you think about these words is that these letters, these sounds, is that the open O is similar to the A, like in father, A, but you have to shape your mouth as an O. So to practice, you can start with the A, and then shape your mouth a little bit more. Ah. I know it sounds weird, but if you have, this is difficult for you, I recommend you do this exercise. The open O sound is closer to the A sound because it's a very open sound. However, the closed O is closer to the U sound because it's a very closed sound. It's more like rounded, and you don't have to open your mouth that much. So to practice this O sound, you can start with the U and just shape the O, open the O a little bit more, right? Because the U is the closest. So let's practice. Start with the U and then open a little bit. Ooh. I know it's really hard to do this exercise, but I recommend you practice this. And if you think about it in your mind that the open O is close to A and the closed O is close to U, I think that can help you produce the sounds a little bit better. So examples of words, everyone knows this because it's the most common example, right? Avó means grandmother, avó, o. Avô, o means grandfather. Of course, there are many other words like ótimo that I said before is the open sound. I'm thinking of other examples with the closed O. I'm sure you give me examples in the chat later. So questions, comments, I'm going to go to the chat. And I'd love to hear your comments and questions about everything that I said, any words that you'd like me to pronounce, any follow-up questions, let me know. Oh, that's interesting. Zebra. Zebra. Oh, but the Z is always very strong, right? The Z sound. Very interesting, Sam. Oi, Sam. Pergunta do Ahmed. A letra R na palavra irmão ou irmã é pronunciada da mesma forma que a palavra carro? Oh, interesting. So here actually have an example in the word irmã and irmão that can vary depending on the accent because the R here is positioned at the end of a syllable, right? It's not followed by a vowel. And in this case, at the end of syllables or the end of words, the R can be pronounced in at least 3 different ways depending on the accent. So it could be irmã with the R in the throat. It can be very soft or a little bit more stronger. It could be irmã, irmã. Or it could be vibrant at the tip of your tongue here, irmã, irmã. Or it could be irmã, like similar to the English R, irmã. All these pronunciations are correct and they vary depending on the region. But carro is always pronounced the same way, is always pronounced here, carro. It could be, the R could be a little bit softer or stronger, carro, but always on your throat, right, carro. There are old pronunciations of this word that would be different, but today this is the common pronunciation. So yeah, depends on the accent, basically, to answer your question. Can you tell us something about difference in duration of sounds? Oh, that is so interesting. So in Portuguese in general, it's different from English. You don't really have like long vowels and short vowels. Usually in Portuguese, the vowel is longer when it's stressed. So if it is the vowel is in the stressed syllable, it will be longer than the other ones. And also this varies a lot depending on the accent, how fast you're speaking. If you have time, we talk a little bit more about that as well and how to connect words. But yeah, so the paradigm is different from English, that we have like long vowels and short vowels. In Portuguese. It's always related to stress, as far as I know. Very good question. Jir. I wish I knew how to pronounce your name. Can you tell me? Yeroen. I think it is, the J here sounds like yeah, right? E. Let me know. Diga-me. Vou. That's how I pronounce it. Vou. So I pronounce the first O as a closed O. And the second one I make it unstressed. Vou. So it goes down, pronounced as U. Vou. 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 But I think some people would say vou. I would say vou. O vou. So you do pronounce 2 vowels. Estevão. Estevão. So here it's an example of in which the stress is actually in the middle because of the graphic accent, right? And the last syllable is actually unstressed, but it actually carries what we call a secondary stress. So we have the primary stress is in the middle, estevão, and the second, and the is secondary stress. So here the difference, vou, vou, e vou. Vou. It's tricky because here we have the first word is actually 2 syllables and the second word is 1 syllable. So the way that you pronounce 2 vowels when they are together changes if it is in the same syllable or not. Because here in the first word you have to pronounce 2 they are both stressed. Vou, vou, vou. And the second one, vou, vou. The second one is really weak. In the first one, the first word, vou, the first vowel is still more stressed, but we do have like a secondary stress in the second vowel. In the second word, vou, there's no secondary stress. It's just vou. It's just like, and many times you don't hear the second vowel, just the first one, vou. Depends on on how fast you're speaking. Excellent questions. Yeah, vou, exatamente. Oh, Charles. In Portuguese, in Brazil, we say Charles for the CH. You're telling me that your name is Charles or Charles? Excellent questions, everybody. So, ótimo. Ótimo. In Brazil, we don't write with the P. Maybe in Portugal they do. We have some small differences between Brazilian Portuguese and European Portuguese. I say ótimo. 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 Sim, ônibus is closed. Obrigada, David. And also nasal. Ônibus. 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 And we have the graphic accent in the first O, the circumflex. Excellent questions, everybody. O seu nome é Charles. Oi, Charles. Okay, let's continue. I'll go back to the document. Let's talk a little bit about strategies that you can use to sound more Brazilian and improve your fluency and accent when speaking Brazilian Portuguese. Just answer this last question. So I'm saying Clarbe. I don't just copy and paste your question because there are too many comments. It's really hard for me to keep up, but you can always copy and paste your comment if I skip it, and I'm sorry I skipped your question. So is demais pronounced like demais? But is democracia? So it really depends on the word. As a rule, I would say that the sounds, the syllable de is pronounced as G only at the end of words. But we do have some exceptions. This only happens when the syllable is unstressed. In democracia, we don't pronounce as G because the letter E here is actually nasal. And when the vowel is nasal, the D is never pronounced as G when the vowel E is nasal. It's always pronounced as a D, so democracia. So this is a really tricky topic because there is a lot of nuance, lots of details related to the pronunciation of the syllable DE. But I have one general rule that you can use to pronounce. Always pronounce the D as a hard D, like de, the syllable de as a hard D, unless it is the last syllable of the word, like in cidade. Then you can always say G, it's fine. Also, some people would say cidade because of the accent. So the hard D, the D sound, is always correct. The G sound varies depending on the accent, okay? So if you're not sure, you can always use the hard D, and then you can pay attention to different accents to see, so you can pronounce as you prefer. So many questions. I don't understand your question. Oh, thank you. So, you run. I love it. Thank you. You run. Thank you. Then we do have some different ways to pronounce the O. As I just talked about the open and the close, right? We have the open, O, the closed, O, and then we have the nasal on, like in ônibus, and sometimes the O is pronounced as a U, as a weak U, at the end of words. Ótima dica, Paul. Fake it till you make it. It works. Ótimo. If I say ótimo instead of ótimo is still correct? No. The word ótimo, it just will sound really off. Stress is really important. You know, sometimes I tell you, don't worry about having the perfect pronunciation. If you don't pronounce the perfect nasal sound or the perfect open or closed sound, that's okay. But if you pronounce the stress incorrectly, that could be really complicated. People probably will not understand what you mean. Stress is really, really important. So pay attention to stress, everybody. This is really important. It's much more important to get the stress right than the specific sounds right, because people can understand what you mean if you have the correct stress. If you don't, they might be, what did you say? If you say ótimo without the perfect O sound, but the correct stress, there's a bigger chance of people understanding what you mean. Charles, I don't watch soccer games. Okay, everybody, let's go back to my document and talk about linking. We still have time, right? Yes. Drinking some water. So up until now, we talked about specific sounds, so you can improve your pronunciation. But there are many other things that you should think about when you think about having a good pronunciation in Portuguese. And also, I would like to talk about reduction and linking in Brazilian Portuguese, not only to help you with your pronunciation, but also to help you with your listening skills. They are connected, because all the time I hear my students saying, I cannot understand what Brazilians say. I understand you, Virginia, but I don't understand other Brazilians. Why? And that's why. Because when Brazilians speak naturally, they connect words, they sometimes drop entire syllables. That happens with every language. That happens with English, French, Spanish, all the languages that I know. This also happens when native speakers are speaking naturally. And that's why it's difficult to develop your listening skills, because you learn, oh, this is how it is pronounced, and then you listen to people speaking, it's like, oh, that's not how they are pronouncing at all. So it's important to understand this. Even if you don't speak this way, it's important to understand, so you can understand when people talk to you, right? And then in the future, if you want to refine your Brazilian pronunciation, you want to sound more Brazilian, have like that cute Brazilian accent, that is also something that you can do to improve your accent. But this reduction and linking, they are not mandatory. So everything that I'm going to tell you now, nothing of this is mandatory. These are patterns, natural way of how people speak. All of these things, they vary a lot from region to region, because they are based on accent, not standard pronunciation, but regular, but accent and local accents, regional accents, okay? But this is really important, because they make the language interesting. And if you do this reduction and linking, actually it makes you speak in a more fluid speech, right? Because if you would speak syllable by syllable, you sound a little bit chunky. If you connect all the words and you speak in a more natural, like linking words, that will help you sound much better. Então vamos lá, let's get going. So when I talk about reduction, I'm referring to suppressing sounds, letters. Sometimes it's just one letter, sometimes it's one entire syllable is suppressed. It really depends. For example, the word você is often reduced to se, right? This is very common. And when I say linking, I'm talking about connecting words, so instead of pronouncing word by word, we connect them and they sound like a single word. You know that when children are learning their native language, most of the time they see just chunks. They don't really recognize that each word is a different word. They think it's a phrase is a word, right? Because we speak in a way that we don't really separate words. But when you're learning a second language, it's normal to separate and say word by word. But then when you connect everything, you see that words change their pronunciation. They connect, and many words sound like one single word. Like the phrase todo mundo. If I say word by word, I would say todo o mundo. But I connect and say todo mundo. Todo mundo. So it sounds like three words sound like one. So I already talked about why this is important. This will help your speech sound more natural and help you identify sounds when you're listening. One exercise that I recommend you do to improve your listening is to listen and read at the same time and pay attention to this. Pay attention to the linking reduction that native speakers are doing when they are speaking naturally. And very important, do not write like this. This is only related to speech. I don't recommend you write with reductions or linking because that is not standard. In writing, you should use standard language, right? If you're texting, it's okay to do some of this. Brazilians do. Texting is another language, right? We're not talking about that now. And also in formal speech, I recommend also using more standard language instead of using lots of reduction. So just go through quickly some very common reductions in Portuguese. So we have the verb estar, is commonly pronounced as está or tá, in all the conjugations. So I am at home, eu tô em casa. I reduce the está to estou to tô. Ele está em casa, ele tá em casa. So this is very, very common. For example, onde você está? Onde você está? Onde você está? I would say that most Brazilians would never say onde você está, onde você está. This is the most common pronunciation. We also connect sometimes the word você with some prepositions, like isso é pro você. This sounds more like from Minas Gerais, a regional accent. Interestingly, the word você is usually reduced when it comes before a verb, not after a verb. Just one detail. You usually don't reduce all the time. Let me see. So many times the diphthong O is reduced to O. For example, eu vou, I'm going, can be pronounced as vou, O, O, especially when you're speaking fast at a natural speech. The final R and S, many times it just disappear as well when you're speaking fast. For example, vamos means let's go. Vamos is pronounced as a vamos without the S. Verbs in the infinitive form many times are pronounced without the R sound. Estudar is pronounced as estudar. This applies to all verbs in regular natural speech. The final R and the final S many times are suppressed. The word que is commonly shortened to k. For example, ele disse que quer falar com você. Ele disse que quer falar com você. So this is k. So these are just examples of things that happen in reductions. There are hundreds, maybe thousands of other examples that I could add. But I really wanted to give you examples that are common. And now it's your job to pay attention and see and try to recognize these patterns so you can understand Brazilians better. You don't have to speak this way. You can totally speak in a more standard way. But it's important that you understand that this is something that happens in our language. And then linking, I already gave you an example earlier about todo mundo, right? That happens a lot. For example, when you have two common similar vowels, todo mundo, we connect. De ir, we have the same vowel sound, so we also connect. Gosto de ir à praia, I like to go to the beach. Instead of de ir, I say dir, I connect. When one word finishes with an S and the next one starts with a vowel, we can connect and produce the S sound as a Z sound. This is similar to the liaison that happens in French, right? But in French, there are some rules. Sometimes it's mandatory, right? In Portuguese, it's never mandatory, but it's common, very common. For example, casas amarelas, casas amarelas, casas amarelas. Todos os dias, todos os dias, todos os dias. You see, I connect. Todos os dias. And then the S is pronounced as a Z. The next one, I'm going quickly because we don't have much time, but I want to cover as much as possible. You can always watch a recording of this class, okay? It will be available on this website, on this channel for at least a couple of weeks. The next one, when a word ends with a vowel and the next word begins with a ends with the R and the next one begins with a vowel, also you can connect. And in this case, the R sounds like a vibrant R. For example, vou comprar carro, vou comprar carro. I would say comprar um. This also, everything that I'm talking here varies depending on the accent, okay? Eles vão vender a casa, eles vão vender a, we connect and change the pronunciation of the R sound. And we're almost reaching the end. I will go back to the chat in a minute to answer any questions that you have. But one last tip to improve your pronunciation, I recommend you do imitation exercises, because this will help you identify everything that we covered today and practice everything that we covered today and much more. It's easy to do, it's free. Just look for content on the internet that you like. It could be videos from my YouTube channel. When I record videos entirely in Portuguese, I usually speak at a slower pace on this channel. And you can also, you also have the text, so it's perfect to practice pronunciation, just an imitation, just play, pause, repeat, play, pause, repeat. If you are at an intermediate level, you can even try to shadow and play and speak at the same time. It's important that you speak out loud. I recommend you use earphones so you can hear really well the sound, even if you're speaking at the same time. This will really help you improve your pronunciation. It will help you improve your listening skills as well, and learn vocabulary, because you'll be exposed to the language. You'll learn vocabulary, grammar, everything in a natural way just by listening, repeating, listening, repeating. So this is my tip. It's very simple, but usually the simplest things, they work very well if you are consistent. If you do this every day for 15 minutes, I promise you, you'll see amazing results within a month, within a few months. So try it and let me know how it goes. I'll go back to the chat to answer some questions. And I just want to remember, for those who are leaving soon, I will be here for a few more minutes to answer questions, that we have new classes starting in February, the first week of February. If you want to continue to have classes with me regularly, but actually via Zoom, which is much better, right? Because I'll be able to see you and hear you. And our premium courses, they include classes in small groups, 4 to 8 students with a Brazilian teacher. And in addition to your regular class, you also have Q&A sessions with me every week, usually on Saturdays at noon. And you'll be together for 2 hours, just like we are today, but on Zoom, which is a tool that I can, it's a better tool to really connect with people. So if this is something that you are looking for, please visit our website, speakingbrazilian.com, and you find all the information there. We have courses for all levels. You can take a placement test to see what course is best for you. And if you're watching this and you are taking a course with me now, let me know in the chat. I'd love to say hi to you. I'll go back to your comments and questions now. Let me know what comments, follow-up questions you have for me. I'm so thirsty because I'm talking too much. So Rob just added to the chat. Click this link if you want to learn more about our courses. Okay, speakingbrazilian.com/premium. You can click the link or just type on your browser. I have video tutorials on both European and Brazilian Portuguese, but my friends are from Portugal. Should I focus on one? You can study both at the same time. It's the same language. The main difference is the accent. We have small differences in vocabulary and grammar, but very little, very small. So just I will go with both, or the one that you like most. I'm so glad you enjoyed. Thank you, Brad. going back to see if I missed an important question. If I did not see your question and you really want me to answer, just copy and paste now so I can see it, okay? Bom te ver. Yeah, that's interesting, Stuart. Bom te ver sounds very similar to tiver, right? But here, the trick is the E sound in tiver. Tiver is the E sound. Oh, very interesting. Yeah, we do. English has so many reductions. It's crazy. It's crazy. Tamo junto. Yeah, it's an informal language, right? It means we are together, but I think it has carry a lot of meaning in informal language. Ano. So the pronunciation is ano. We connect one. We do this one. Ano. It means 1 year. And the second word is humano. Humano. So the H is silent, and then we have the word mano. Humano. Humano. Or yeah, humano. Here I would not make the U nasal. Muito bom, Desi. Yes, Spanish, French, English reductions are very common. I'm going to go all the way to the end to see any last comments or questions. I'm really glad you find this helpful, Brad. Brenda, thank you. Obrigada. Remember to have fun. I agree 100% with you, Paul. Remember to have fun. I teach all these details because I know they are useful to you, but don't stress about it. Just have fun. Learning language should be fun. I'll pronounce this word is eu. 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 So the first sound is e, and the second sound is u. Eu. Sometimes you hear eu. Yeah. I won't always say eu, but there might be some differences in accent. Que bom, Humberto, obrigada. Okay, everybody, Feliz Ano Novo. Feliz Ano Novo, Sherry. Olá, querida. Absolute beginner, just starting now. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, some things we covered today are difficult for beginner level students, but I hope you found this class useful. Okay, everybody. I know that many of you are already leaving. Thank you so much for spending your time, your Sunday with me today. As I promised, I'll just take a few minutes to talk about my courses. If you're interested at all in our courses, stay with me for a few more minutes. I'm going to share my other screen with you. And as I said, you can go to speakingbrazilian.com/premium to learn more about our courses. This one that you see on the screen is the Speaking Brazilian Academy. This is a membership program for intermediate and advanced level learners who can already speak Portuguese but want a place to practice. We offer a lot of content to help you have exposure and conversation classes every week in very small groups, 4 to 8 students. And this will really help you develop fluency through a lot of exposure and speaking practice. And in addition to that, you also have Q&A sessions with me every Saturday. And the other courses that we offer are the Essential Course for Beginners. If you're starting out, this is the course that you should look for. It covers all the basic essential vocabulary, verb tense, everything you need to know to start learning Portuguese. The second one is the pre-intermediate workshop, which is a continuation. So in the pre-intermediate workshop, we review the basic content, which you need to review a lot because it would be amazing if I told you something and you'll learn immediately, right? That's not how learning works. You need to go back to it and review. Learning is incremental. It's not linear. It's more like a spiral. It's not like a line, right? So you need to go back to a lot of things, and we do that a lot in our courses. We always review and go back to, especially to the most complex topics. So the pre-intermediate workshop reviews the beginner level content and then introduce intermediate level content in a simple way. And then the next course is the grammar and conversation workshop. This one is more really grammar intense, as the name says, is really focused on grammar, and also, but you also have conversation and speaking practice in small groups, and it focuses on intermediate and advanced level grammar. Okay, so if you're not sure what course is best for you, you can just go to this website and click here to take a placement test. It's really quick, it takes like 5 minutes, and it will, based on your answers, recommend a course for you. But I also want you to know that you are 100% safe, because we have a 30-day money-back guarantee. You can request to cancel your enrollment, or you can also switch to another course. If you feel like, oh, this is too difficult, this is too easy, can I just switch? And then we can switch you to another course. Okay, just email us and we'll help you with whatever you need. Now I would like to show you inside one of the courses. This is the Essential Course for Beginners. So you have a lot of resources here. You have like small video lessons. You have a textbook to download, and I separated all the lessons in small video lessons so you don't feel overwhelmed. Just go one by one and then click complete and continue when you finish each lesson, so you know where you are at. And then we also have some exercises to improve your listening and pronunciation. Just do one by one, quizzes to test your grammar. And then there is a written homework that you just click here to do your homework. And then you go to this page where you can do your homework. I'm not going to show because I don't want to, because there's many homework from students here, but you go to this page and then you can just type your homework here, and you will receive feedback from our teachers. You see, Professor Gabriel is always here giving you feedback on your homework. So this is included in all our courses. And also, I'm going to show at the end of this module how our live sessions work. So here, so this is one example of a class. One of our classes on Zoom. It will be just you, the teacher, 4 or 5 other students, actually 4 to 8. It really depends on the class. So you really have a lot of opportunity to speak, to ask questions, to interact. Depending on the course, you have breakout sessions with other peers, so you can practice speaking. You have the teacher with you all the time to help you with everything you need. So let me know if you want to learn more. Just visit our website, speakingbrazilian.com. So our next group classes start in February, and the first week of February, and enrollment closes in a week from now, on January 25. If you have any questions, you can let me know now, or you can just email our client care coordinator. Her name is Aline, and her email is school@speakingbrazilian.com. Thank you, everybody. Just seeing your last comments here. So, Olá, Li, how can I know my level and decide which course is suitable for me? We do have a placement test to help you with that. So you just visit our website, and then you scroll down, you find a placement test and click the link. It's a really quick placement test. I'll ask you, it's more like based on your self-assessment. And then it will recommend a course for you. But if you don't agree, if you're not sure, you can also email us and you help you make this decision. And you can always sign up and start the course that you find is more aligned with your level. And if you feel like it's not right for you, just email us and you can switch to another course. Okay? So there is no risk. You can always switch to another course. So Jimmy, I think your question is about reduction when you talk a word in half, which we covered this briefly today, right? So, for example, the word você is commonly reduced to se. Is that what you mean? I'm not sure. Is that what you mean? Is the Essential Course A1, A2, or just A1? It covers A1 and A2 content. When I created this course, I was not really thinking about the European framework because I don't really use it in the US or Brazil. But if you compare, it covers both content. And then in the pre-intermediate workshop, we cover A2 and a little bit of B1. So they they mix a little bit of the levels, but I would say the essential course is A1 and will bring you up to A2 level, but it's really quick and fast paced, so you really need to reach a A2 level, you really need to complete the entire course and do all the assignments. And the grammar course is more like B1, a little bit of B2. Excellent questions. I'm going to go to the end to see if I missed a question. If I did not answer your question, just copy and paste at the end so I can see it. Que legal, Joana. Ah, que legal, aproveite a sua viagem a Maceió, que incrível. I'm so glad you enjoyed from das Filipinas, que legal. Que bom que você gostou da aula. E another question from Ed. Olá, Ed. How long are each class and what day are they on? So these Zoom sessions, they last 1 hour, 15 minutes to 16 minutes. So usually 1 hour. And they take place in different days and times. We have a schedule. You can choose, when you sign up, you can choose the best schedule for you. And you have always classes on the same day of the week with the same teacher for 12 weeks. Only the academy is a membership, so you can stay for as long as you want, but the other courses, they last 12 weeks. So we have classes on in the morning, classes in the evening, so you can choose the best one for you. You find this schedule on the website, speakingbrazilian.com/premium. Scroll down and you find the schedule, and you can choose one of those classes. Sometimes we open more classes if students ask for it, but you see the tentative schedules on the website. For example, for the essential course, we have classes on Tuesday at 7 p.m. and Wednesday at 7, and then Friday, I think it's 12 p.m., something like that. I don't remember by heart. Just want to make sure. Yeah, so these classes with group classes, they start the first week of February 2026 this year. So in a couple of weeks from now, the first Monday of February. But if you sign up now, you gain immediately access to the course materials, so you can study the video lessons and the exercises and all that, and then you go to the group classes starting the first week of February. So the sooner you sign up, the better, because for two reasons. One, you can start studying now, you have access to the material, and it's really important that you study a little bit before going to class so you can practice more. And the second reason is that, spots per class are limited. We only have the maximum number of students per class, 8 students. So if you want to take a specific class, I recommend you sign up as soon as possible, because it can get full and then there's nothing I can do. I don't want to have like 20 students in one class, because then you don't have as much opportunity to speak. So I try to keep the groups really small. So if you need to take classes at a specific time, I recommend you sign up as soon as possible to save your spot. Oh, let me see. I would say omiji. If I follow all the Brazilian rules, omiji. But if you say it in another way, people might try to imitate your pronunciation, right? But omiji. Okay, but the way that it writes is with D, omiji. So the way that I pronounce is not correct. It's omiji. Not G, but G. Omiji. Because the D at the end, most people pronounce as J. Omiji. Olá. Okay, everybody, I think I don't see any other questions. Thank you so much for spending your Sunday with me. It was a pleasure. I hope you found this class useful. It will be available here for a few more days if you want to rewatch it. Grande abraço e tenham lindo domingo e feliz ano novo. Happy 2026. Tchau!